Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brett Ferguson, Realtor, coming to you guys with another video today. And we're going to be talking about the hidden costs of moving to Delaware. Now, I get a lot of people calling from states around Delaware, whether it's Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Maryland, the DC area, Virginia. A lot of people look at Delaware as a great place to come, save money, and just really be able to stretch those dollars, right? Especially in retirement, that's very, very important. Well, today we're going to talk about the actual costs of making that transition from wherever you are to Delaware. So stay tuned, and we're going to get right into it. All right. So the first thing that we're going to talk about before we actually talk about that, what I want you guys to do is make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, Snapchat, wherever you are watching this, TikTok, wherever you're watching this video. Make sure you like and share, because a lot of people are interested in what Delaware has to offer when it comes to saving finances. Well, this video is going to be your entry point to that process, okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about is when you move to Delaware, you're going to want to buy a house, right? Well, one thing to know about buying a home in Delaware is that we have a 4% transfer tax, and that is split between the buyer and the seller. So when you have a home, no matter what that purchase price is, you take 4% of that, and that's what the transfer tax is. And if you are buying, you are responsible for half of that. Now, if you are a first-time home buyer, you don't pay that full 2% of your portion. You actually get a reduced amount based on the county that you're in and some other factors. If you're a senior citizen, you may also get some other discounts and things of that nature. What you'll also want to know about when you purchase a home here in Delaware is that we have low taxes. But we just had a tax referendum, or actually a tax reassessment in the Newcastle County area. But from what I have seen, this is still much lower taxes than the surrounding state. And one of the first things you need to know is there's a 4% transfer tax with any purchase of a home here in Delaware, and 2% technically is responsible for each person. The seller pays 2% and the buyer pays 2%. All right, so while we're talking about those real estate taxes, what I wanted to also differentiate is where those real estate taxes lie and what that actually means. So if you look at Delaware, we have 3 counties in Delaware. Newcastle is our most northern county, Kent is in the middle, Sussex down below. Now, what you'll want to know as a general rule is the higher up you go in Delaware, the higher the property taxes are. And the lower you go, the lower the property taxes get, for the most part. Now, of course, coastal Delaware, which is our Delaware beaches, Lewis, Rehoboth, Bethany Beach, those places here in Delaware, Ocean View, some of these areas, if they're a waterfront or they're beach adjacent or things of that nature, you may have higher taxes than a property that is in Newcastle County, but that property tax will be representative of the home's lot size and its assessed value with the lot and the improvement. So even if you were to take a higher tax property in Sussex County, if you were to take that same size property and lot and put it into Newcastle County, you would still be paying more. So when you're looking in Delaware and you're saying, okay, well, the taxes in Delaware the property taxes are great. They're really low. We're looking at $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a year in real estate taxes. Remember what that means and where you want to be. If you want to be closer to Middletown, you need to take into account that those taxes may be higher than if you're going to Seaford or if you're going to Dover, okay? So that's one thing that I always like to preface with that. Now, the next thing we'll talk about is car registration fees. Here in Delaware, we don't have a sales tax, but we do have a car registration tax. So if you're coming and you get a permanent residence here, you're gonna want to transfer your driver's license and register your vehicle. Those costs can vary, but they're usually a few $100s, and that's one of the first things that you'll want to do. And while you're at the DMV, Delaware has a lot of tolls, okay? If you're traveling up and down the state, our small state has pretty much one major highway throughout the state, which is Route 1 that connects to 495, okay? If you are on Route 1, and depending on where you get onto that state highway, you'll be paying a toll. So when you're getting your car registered, the next thing I would say is get you an Easy Pass, because we are toll heavy, and a lot of the things that you're going to be doing here in this state, you may get some tolls that you run into. So getting an Easy Pass, that's going to run you a couple $100s, and you want to upload your funds onto that. It's going to save you time, super convenient, and you're going to want to get your vehicle registered, okay? So those are the next 2 things that you want to do after you purchase your home. Figure out what your taxes, what tax burden you want to have, and you also look at, the transfer tax, okay? All right, guys, so the next thing that you'll want to consider is trash pickup. So here in Delaware, you may have municipal trash pickup, whether it's the county or whatever city you may live in. But a lot of Delaware has homes that are outside of city limits and is not covered by the county. You may have a private trash pickup that comes to your private residence, right? You may have a long private road that you live on and no one from the county or the city takes care of that waste. So private trash pickup is something you really want to look into. You can always check out Kent County, Sussex County, or Newcastle County for options outside of state provided waste pickup, because it is very, very important. And it's one of those things you don't think about until the last minute. So do your research on that. If you know you want to come to Delaware, but you want to be in a secluded area, you want a lot of acreage and with a private road, you may want to look into private trash pickup, okay? The next thing that you're going to want to look into is HOA fees. Now, here in Delaware, we know that we have a lot of retirees. We have a lot of people who have worked in New York and Jersey, all these different places. They want to come to Delaware so they can make those retirement dollars stretch. They can make their healthcare experience very convenient, and their traveling is convenient to where they've come from, where family is, right? Well, HOAs are very, very relevant in that conversation because you have a lot of 55 and older communities that have deeded golf courses. They may have recreation centers, they may have pools, they may have a lot of different things, whether that's lot rent because the property is a land lease, right? And they take care of the lawn for you. You want to incorporate that into some of the budgeting and the research that you're doing, okay? HOAs here in Delaware are very prominent, and 55 and older communities are even more prominent. So you need to make sure you take those into account based on what you want and what amenities you need. You can take that and say, okay, we don't want to spend more than X amount of dollars per year on HOA fees, but here's what we need. You take those two things and you can figure out what's going to be best. And usually, if you do have an HOA community, they will take care of trash for you. But if you know you don't want an HOA, well, my last point becomes even more relevant. You want to start looking into private waste and private trash pickup, okay? All right, guys, so you're thinking about those hidden costs moving to Delaware. One of the biggest things, just in general, flood zone insurance. Making sure the property that you look for, if it's in a flood zone, what does that insurance policy look like? In 2025, one of the biggest things that affected people's monthly payment options and their chances of even buying a home was homeowners insurance. Well, here in Delaware, we live in a peninsula. We live in an area that has a lot of water that's around our state. So there's a very good chance you're coming to Delaware because you're ready to have the coastal Delaware experience, whether it's a primary residence or a beach home. Well, guess what? Flood insurance is going to be very, very important. There are a bevy of flood insurance providers, but these are one of the things you want to take into account when you're looking through taxes, purchase price, transfer taxes, registration fees for your vehicle, and all of the other things that you're thinking about when you're ready to move, right? Well, Delaware, it's very, very, very important that you think about flood insurance if the property you know you want is going to be water adjacent, waterfront view, Delaware coastal living, whether that's Lewis, whether it's Rehoboth, Ocean View, Bethany Beach, all of those areas that is in our coastal state. And one of the other things that I find very important are the fees for heating. So here in Delaware, we are the first state, which means we have a lot of older homes. And older homes usually have oil heating. Certain homes that were built, post World War I through the World War II era homes, even homes that were built Victorian, Edwardian style homes that are from the early settlement of Delaware, whether that's in Wilmington or Lewis and one of those places, you may have oil heating. You want to take into account, oil pricing and what that's going to look like for you every single winter, and just start to budget that, right? Not every home has that, but Delaware is an older state, so we have a lot of older homes that use oil heating. When I have people come from other states, sometimes they're not familiar with that, with the oil heating process and how that is, oil is a commodity, and that price can fluctuate, and you want to budget for that and keep that in mind. Or you want to know before we go out home shopping that you just don't want oil heating. That'll help me help you wrap around our process what that actually is going to look like for a home, okay? So those are two very good points there. All right, so another really important one is well and septic upkeep. So let's say you're looking, you want a private lot, you want a lot of acreage, you're not really crazy about being on the water, but you want privacy. Well, privacy usually means a well and a septic. I want you, if you're watching this video, to make sure you understand that over time, keeping up your well and your septic are very, very important. You want to start to look at how much it costs to upkeep a low pressure system or a mound system when it comes to septics. What kind of water tests do you need for a well, and how much does that cost for the water that's coming into your home? Do you need a reverse osmosis system? Do you need things that make sure that the nitrates coming from the groundwater coming into your home are safe, right? Or is the water safe? And then the water and the waste that's coming out of your home, how much does it cost to have certain types of systems? You know, I get a lot of people who want to build on their own lot as well. We have a lot of builders that can do that for you, but you must remember, you have to take care of water coming into your home, and you also have to account for water coming out. So do research on that. And in Delaware, I feel like that's very, very relevant. A lot of people come to Delaware, not everyone, but they come with a specific lifestyle criteria in mind. And privacy for a lot of people is very, very important. Well, that usually means those functions of your home are going to be an additional cost. So make sure you look at different well companies and how much it would cost to upkeep a well, and different septic systems and how much those upkeep and how frequently cost to upkeep and how frequently you need to dredge those or clean those or get the alarms looked at or the distribution box fixed and things of that nature, okay? So well and septics, very, very important. All right, guys, so we've talked about some really great hidden costs, right, that people don't really know about when they think about moving to Delaware, but I can't leave you guys without the last one, and that's summertime beach traffic. Now, if you live in Delaware, know anything about Delaware, our beaches are some of the most visited beaches in the Mid-Atlantic region. They're very easy to get to. They're very cost friendly when you want to get hotel rooms, or if you want to purchase a beach home. We get a lot of people come shopping at the outlets here in Delaware. So beach traffic is very important, and it also has costs involved. That means whether you need to leave a day early when you are looking to get an Airbnb. Does that cost come into effect? Or maybe you need to get extra gas for different stops if you want to go around that beach traffic. Rental costs for vehicles, travel for family who may be coming to visit you, right? These all have costs. And you don't think about those costs when you're planning these things, but they always rear their ugly head when you have decided you want to have a great beach day, you just moved to Delaware, and you want to experience the beaches in the summer. There's going to be traffic. So whether you're trying to logistically get around that traffic or beat that traffic by traveling a day ahead, keep those things in mind. You know, I've lived in Delaware all my life, and one thing we know is that beach traffic, when you don't account for it, it always has a cost, right? So make sure you keep that in mind. Make sure you schedule vehicle maintenance a week prior to traveling. Make sure you know what routes you want to take, and that's going to cost extra gas. If you're coming from the top of the state and you're going down to where the beaches are, down to Sussex County, remember keeping gas cards, your easy pass for tolls, things of that nature, because it's going to help and it'll take the stress off of, you know, that transition of moving here to Delaware. All right. So those are my 10 hidden costs or things to think about when you're moving to Delaware that really don't have anything to do with just the home itself. It's the lifestyle of moving here. So if you guys have any suggestions you want to add, if you're from Delaware, or if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.